Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lie in Bed. I am your host, Lie Ocean, and I have a special guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, my name is Dvos. I represent Universal Battle Realm. I'm Mr. If you know, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining my podcast. I love when people come on the show and they have like such a good energy and they come on with like a good attitude. Like you can just feel it, like it's going to be good. So yeah, let's tell us a little bit more about international. Oh, so it's International Battle League.
So we are Universal Battle Realm.
Battle Realm.
Yeah, Universal Battle Realm. And we have been in operation in Albuquerque for over a decade. And I showed up about 3 years into their existence. So we've probably been in operation closer to 13, going on 14 years now.
Wow.
So I came into its roster, into its community about 2015.
Amazing. And are you a rapper as well?
Yeah, I am a battler. I've battled with UBR for about 10 years.
Wow, that's amazing. And what got you into the rap community, the scene? What started that?
So kind of two different things. One, I had been watching. Let me back up. So battle rap as a culture is very widespread across America, across different countries. I would say that the scene is now about 36 years old, give or take, from where I would think it really kind of started taking off. And the reason I say that is because there's a league that many battle rap enthusiast fans will know as AHAT, that was very popular, I would say about 20 years ago or so. And to me, about 20 years ago. And AHAT had a couple different battlers who I was a fan of when I was, a younger teenager. And I would watch them just because I liked the idea of this competitive element of rap. And then also, just in high school, I did a lot of like public speaking events type of competitions. And so I am very much intrigued and captivated by like speaking competitions. I'm a very competitive person. When I got to New Mexico, those competitions for me didn't exist anymore. It just wasn't available for me from where I was coming from. And so I was looking into the battle rap scene, and I found, an advertisement for UBR at an event. And it was really, really cool because I had only seen these things online. They were not accessible to me, especially at the age that I was at.
Right.
And so I was able to go see one live, and it at the peak, in my opinion, or like the golden era of the old guard of UBR. I got to see some very, very talented people like in the midst of their careers.
Wow.
And that was such a great feeling to even go back and see myself in the background on the footage at the time that I was there while it was actually happening.
Like watching history, kind of.
Yeah, and now I see it that way.
Right.
It was a big deal, and I had asked somebody how to participate, and it was just that simple.
And do you know how many people are part of the community here in New Mexico?
Man, it's a fluctuating number. It's and man, even just that question is part of the reason I was happy to be here today. When I got into UBR, I would say that I think I've even done the studying on it, is that there were probably 40 active participating battle rappers, and the community itself, I would say, multiplied times 3, because that's what made it such a vibrant community, because everybody had 2 to 3 people plus that they brought into the scene. So I think at the time, 120, 150 people who were actively attending events, actively on the social media platforms that they were posting on.
And that's current?
That current is different now as far as in Albuquerque. That same group exists, but life has changed for a lot of people. They've grown up, they've had families. It's not always accessible with their schedules. It's not the primary focus, and I can't fault anybody for any of that. But I would say that the knowledge of UBR in Albuquerque is much wider spread than it used to be, but participation is different now.
Right.
The scene has grown in a different way. And so I would say that I'm in this weird limbo stage of knowing that we are known in Albuquerque more so than when I showed up. But at the same time, the participation is not what it used to be,
Right.
because everybody has more or less aged out of the competitive phases of their life.
Right. So you need new people.
We need new people.
New people. That's great. And when you're looking for someone to be a part of this community, what attributes do you really look for in them? Is it just to be able to compete, or are there other attributes you look for?
There are definitely other attributes. Competitiveness and enthusiasm are great attributes to have. There are attributes I've come to appreciate that I didn't think of until I had to start curating events later in my time with UBR, which are, people who can schedule accordingly, can think ahead about making sure they have their stuff in line, because it is a sport. Really, and with a sport, you have to have people who can make time for it in their lives. So I guess accountability and being able to rely on someone are important attributes. Past that, I would say, as an active participant in the sport, you have to be able to separate yourself from what is being said. It's an extremely important element of this.
Don't take it too personal.
You can't, because it's not. There was a time that things were more volatile.
Right.
I don't think that the scene has aged in that way. It's not good for business.
No.
It's not good for the venues that you work with, the sponsors that you get. Everybody needs to be able to exist in the same room together.
Right.
And you can handle things how you handle things later. But as far as at this event and during this event, you need to leave your opinions at the door. Yeah. Now, that doesn't always stay through, but if nothing else, nothing can go past, your verbal exchanges with people.
Right. And being able to leave it at the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Outside of the door in the parking lot where we're not legally obligated to be responsible for what happens. That's different. But you need to have people who can hear somebody else say some stuff to them that they probably wouldn't allow in another setting.
Right.
And be like, this is what I agreed to.
Tough
and more often than not, you'll find yourself respecting it, admiring it sometimes, that like, dude, you wrote some really good stuff for me. Sometimes how mean they are or how seriously they take you is actually a reflection of like, thank you for caring enough to do well, to really try to beat me. I take that as a huge compliment, even if people are absolutely trying to tear me apart and make me look bad. You did try for me because I tried for you, because this only works if we both give a shit.
Right. And you're putting in the effort.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. And then, I was telling somebody the other day, because they were talking about social media, and they're like, oh, sometimes people say this and some people say that. And I said, don't read the comments. This is a genuine thing that I've been taught in social media. Yeah, you can read them, but don't read into them.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. I feel that for, a rap competition, rap battle, you would run into that, where you would have to have thick skin.
You do. And the comment sections are that kind of weird, amorphous place, because they're not in the battle, but they are about the battle.
Right.
And they're about the battlers, and they're about contentions we have with each other about XYZ things. And, the social media space, we've all been trained to be maybe a little bit more forthcoming than we would normally be.
Right.
And so it's this weird place, because this is equivalent to being told this in a coffee shop or at a bar, like where you maybe wouldn't stay silent or shake somebody's hand for the fun way they've just roasted you.
Right.
And sometimes these are not rhyming arguments. These are, I have an issue with you, and here I'm going to lay it out, and also I'm going to sprinkle in some wonderful ways to describe you.
Sugar descriptions.
Right. So it is different, but not reading the comments is good. It's good to not read the comments online, like within forums.
Right.
If you're reading them on YouTube, it's not the worst thing. Some people, they won't be as mean on there, because those are the fans describing the outcome of the footage.
Right.
Right. And so you can get something constructive from there.
Right.
And you may not agree with it. But again, in terms of like marketability and competitiveness, and this is a sport, somebody not liking what you do is not always a place to go like, well, they don't know.
Right.
And you learn how to discern that as time goes on.
Sure. And like not taking it to heart as much. And then growing. Truthfully, you know, in any type of field that you're in, you should suck at the beginning. Like you're gonna suck. Like and then you know you progress, you learn, and you learn to refine it and get a little bit more custom in your abilities. Have there been times in your experiences that have maybe made you want to quit?
Only when it was a lot that it asked of my personal life.
Right.
Nothing anybody has ever said, and I've definitely been through it with my past in battle rap, but like nothing in battle rap ever made me want to stop battle rapping or stop competing. It was, man, this is asking a lot of my life and my time and taking away from things. And you'll see that complaint consistently within battle rap is like, it is a lot. And, you know, the people in your life you hope are understanding of how much it means to you and what it asks of you. You travel for it. You know, it's not a vacation, it's work.
Right.
But, you know, things cost money and things take time. And that's where you start having this kind of like, am I having fun anymore or am I stressing about this constantly?
Right.
You know, and I definitely think I stress more than I have fun, but I had a trade-off in what I was doing it for at a certain point.
Right.
You know,
what age can you get involved?
What
is the age?
I would say you could do it as you'll find footage 16-year-old versus 18-year-old battle rap. Like you'll find those things. As far as like the business side of it, you may want to say 18 to 21,
right,
specifically for the venues, but battle rap doesn't have to take place in a bar or in a dispensary or like, so you can have it in other places. We've had many events that were in parks, you know, so you can be involved at any age. I was in high school. There are online battle rap forums that existed that were very popular back in the day. So you can participate in it at any stage. And I would encourage anybody to do that.
Right.
I think that it is a constructive place if you're young to be inside of, because I think that if you can survive in this circle of constant criticism, purposeful and, you know, unpurposeful criticism, where people are just kind of like telling you weren't as good as somebody else, but it wasn't to criticize you.
Right.
I think if you can do that and survive in this, a lot of other things don't become too serious. You don't take them too close to heart. And yeah, so I would say like as early as 16, you could start practicing and participating.
I love that. That's amazing. And so you can have, so 16-year-olds can be involved. Do you have women and men?
Both, yeah, absolutely. There are some very, very famous battle rappers. To my knowledge, the only two battle rappers who are women in Albuquerque currently, and one of them lives outside of the country half the time, but Envy the Queen is a musician and she has also participated in battles with us. And I would love to see her participate more. And she's always been very enthusiastic. And Madrid is another woman who has battled with us before. And she primarily does music, but yeah, definitely there are women in the battle rap scene. That.
Yeah, I have a friend that she's 20, and she's a rapper, and she's coming up. I'll have to connect you guys because she's somebody who I think would really do well. Yeah, with you guys.
Good. I encourage it.
Yeah, and so that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Let me think what my next question is here. What encourages you to get up every day?
It's a I would say it's a little bit more of a personal question. I guess I don't mind like going into it. So I have ADHD, and I've realized that there's like this like sense of obligation to people that I've got to get things done. You know, I don't want to like fall short of other people's expectations sometimes. And I don't mind saying that because I think that I was already operating that way, and now knowing that it was because of ADHD, kind of just like, oh, okay. I don't want things to not get built. I don't want to like not have had created certain events or pathways or had certain conversations because I didn't have the energy or the drive, or, you know, and that's definitely something we all combat, ADHD or otherwise. But there are things that you realize as you get, especially into like any art scene, I imagine, there are people who like want to do things and there are people who do things. And at a certain point, if you're lucky, you'll have encountered many people who get things done.
Right.
And it's really cool what can exist if you become one of those people.
Right.
And so it is definitely an uphill battle to try to fully become that person who gets things done, who says they're going to do something and they actually follow through with it. And, and these are projects. These are not like something like you knock it out in a day, you get the garage clean or some shit like that. You have to dedicate weeks to planning or writing for a battle and like, I'm going to make this better, because you're the only one who's going to make sure you do it, right.
So the accountability is heavy.
You have to create self-accountability, and that's uncomfortable a lot of the time.
Right. Well, they say that if you get comfortable in a situation, then you aren't growing.
I believe that. In hindsight, I believe that entirely.
Right. Yeah, comfortability is a dangerous thing. Staying comfortable is something that, we're in our bed and this is comfortable, right? But if we choose to not get up and we lay in our comfort, then what are we missing in the day? What are we, right? And it's okay to take a break. You should absolutely always take a break, take a rest. Whenever, that's something I also see in people is that they burn themselves out, lighting the candle on both ends where you're, not finding the balance in that work-life balance and the passion balance.
That is exactly what I went through and I'm crawling out of still is my inability to have balanced things. I was too infatuated by the dopamine and the gratitude and the competitiveness that comes with this. I mean, that's like, make no mistake, when you start feeling success in this realm, in this ring, it feels very, very good.
Sure.
And
you work hard. You're getting dissed on a regular basis.
Yeah. But to watch other people love you diss people on a regular basis, very, very enticing. And it's hard to not want to do that every time.
When was your first, hole in one? When was your first win? When was your first, how old were you?
Man, I think I won my second battle, but that didn't mean as much like in hindsight, it didn't mean as much as, all right. So the one that always gets pulled out for me, I went to California this was after a couple different wins, but I went to California to battle this guy named K Philosophy on Shots Fired, which is a league out in California. And that battle for me went very, very well. There was like a specific moment of it that I was known for from that point on for a very good diss, and just kind of the rapport that he and I had following that. And, it made me look a certain way, and people really, really enjoyed it. They started knowing me specifically for this like moment, and I didn't go viral, but it kind of solidified that I had like
next level.
I came to another level of it.
Right.
And, that was when, like, I think because before that, actually, right before that battle, I had a loss because I was not well enough prepared, and I took an approach that I don't think worked, or it didn't work in hindsight. And he beat me, this guy, Random, who's a very well-known battler within UBR. He beat me. And it's not that I like died so much in it, but he did so well that I thought, I'm like, no, I could have done better. I wasn't prepared enough. I was burning the candle at both ends. I had battled in Canada the week before.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And I got offered that battle in California following that, like a week later. And I was like, no, I'm gonna make this happen.
Right.
And, from that point on, I just was regarded in a different way. And it opened up doors, I think, from that point for me to be taken more seriously, to get a higher caliber of opponent. And I was probably I was maybe 20, 21,
Right.
I think, when that happened.
Wow, that's amazing. And then, yeah, what a fire that would build inside of you. How exciting! There's a lot of growth that you were feeling, or
I did, but you know what? Actually, it started feeling like it was like chasing a dragon because I could do good, but it wasn't that moment. There were specific things without like rehashing it. There were things that made that very good. And one of them was the visible uncomfortableness on the other person at the time, or that's what was perceived by the audience. And because of that, like not everybody's going to respond that way. And as we already discussed, you shouldn't, and he knew that. And I happened to be more of the asshole that day. And I got what I was aiming for.
His reaction.
I got the reaction, which you're supposed to not have, you try to practice not looking phased.
You have to have the
poker face.
The poker face. That makes sense. So yeah, but that's like showing your hand.
Yeah. And I've caught myself. I've seen myself in footage, even in the one where I'm saying I lost right before this one. I see myself and I go, fuck. Like, I wish I wouldn't have said certain things or reacted in a certain way, or like even just had a demeanor, because it just doesn't look good. You have to be a character. That's how I feel. Some people are just continuing to be who they are in real life. I have no shame in saying I've developed a character
within
a persona. It's a persona. And to break that, to me, is to look weak, is to look vulnerable, is to look less confident.
Committed to the bit. Commit to the bit, essentially. That's something that I really admire about like some stars, like Sia, she's, the fact that she's committed so hard to having her hair cover her face and she won't show her face, that's something that I think is really interesting. And like Kiss, Kiss doing painted faces and sticking out their tongues, it's committing to the bit because, it's so important. Even Tupac, Tupac was not what a lot of people thought he was. Tupac was a lot more soft-hearted than most people would assume, but he had this amazing persona to be this badass, and it's a part of it. It's creating that persona that you can hold. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
I think more people should lean into creating personas than necessarily just being like, battle rap presumes that everybody's going to be this tough guy or like this like kind of maybe not suave, but like confident, cocky kind of person. And I definitely think I've leaned into that specifically, but there's a lot of people who are extremely successful. And, like, you don't have to just be, I don't know, threatening or like that aura. Being clever and witty and condescending and like all of these, this demeanor you can carry are extremely important too. I chose a persona that's probably very kind of conventional for battle rap, but it's because I don't dress conventionally in battle rap, so it doesn't look like I should be doing it. And I didn't do it as a gimmick. I did it because I thought I looked more professional that way.
So, and I love that. I think that's great. What would you say has been the development of friendship in this community?
For myself, or like, do you think
for yourself, it could be, I guess, 2-part question. It could be for yourself, what kind of friendships you've gained or lost, and then also in the community overall.
I am really thankful to have the UBR community. Like I said, 10 years I've been a part of it. I had moved out of high school right before I came here. And so I didn't have any community. And I don't mind saying that like battle rap is really my whole community. And some people will be like, well, you have to have stuff outside of it. And that's fair. But New Mexico is also kind of like a smaller city or state, and Albuquerque is a smaller city compared to a lot of other places. And so I feel like I don't feel any shame thinking that like all the people I know are within the battle rap community, because that's a lot of Albuquerque. Like, you know, the scene may not be as strong or as involved as it was, but people know UBR, and I know them through UBR. And the fact that I can see people out and about that I know or recognize, or that recognize me, or people who I don't even know recognize me from it in my city. It is a warm feeling, a cozy feeling. And so I have no shame in saying that, like, yeah, probably 90% of my friends and relationships presently come from battle rap.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And you know, I talk to a lot of different people from out of state because I've traveled a lot for battle rap. And you make a lot of friends at these events, or you meet new people, and you end up, like, you know, kind of calling each other to compare ideas and material and stuff like that. And so I've had a lot of really good connections come out of battle rap. And I think the only places that I've lost connections through battle rap was having been, you know, a child, essentially, when I got involved, and growing up within it. I really came to understand things that I think, especially having lived in Georgia, that friends of mine didn't, or don't, or just they're not in certain spaces, certain diasporas that I am in. And so I think that because I've been exposed, been around, I've met people, I've seen their lives, I've heard their lived experiences, I understand things, and you tend to start not accepting a dismissal of those lived experiences. I'm trying to say that as delicately as I can.
Right.
And when people start negating those things, it's hard to respect them and kind of find that camaraderie between, like, we may share battle rap, but if you hold certain beliefs that kind of go against a lot of the people who make the culture possible, I don't know how we can really share this commonality.
Right.
And so that's been the downfall of, like, maybe a couple different friendships, unfortunately, is like, I know too much now that I didn't know when I was young, that maybe when I was young I would have let it slide, but I can't now.
Right.
And
you have boundaries now.
Yeah. And I mean, damn if I don't have a lot of these people to thank for helping me grow in that way. Like, there's a lot of really respectable people in the community and in Albuquerque who have helped me grow the side of me that is, like, going to say no. That's going to say, no, this is wrong. This is, you know, these are my lines. These are my boundaries. These are my, where I'm not going to tolerate something.
Right.
And I have them
that's one of the hardest things. One of the hardest things too is setting a boundary.
Yeah.
And then having to stick to it.
Yeah.
That is a very tough thing. I've lost friends like that. And it's like, I set a boundary, they cross the line, and then they cross the line again. And I give a lot of chances. And so then I had to, what's been the biggest personal blessing for me is being able to set boundaries and follow through, because you protect your peace that way. Yeah.
I didn't used to believe in doing that for myself. Because I've very much been a yes man to things, because because it's also in pursuit of, you can get things done if you're agreeable. Right. If you work with all parties. And when you have to start deciding whose resources you will refuse on principle, that becomes a difficult obstacle to navigate, because you're the only one
who has to deal with this ethical problem.
Or who has to hold yourself to that standard, right? No one else is going to make sure that you don't go to so-and-so for help.
Yeah. There's going to be outside opinions. That's the thing, is I make choices for my business. I own, Corvus Media. And when I have somebody cross a boundary, I have safety is one of my biggest concerns. And so if that is ever crossed, and it has been, I've had to put down a boundary to be like, listen, you're not allowed, like, we can't even be, like, friends, and it's like in a nice way, but it's like, you give people chances, and it's not that I don't break a lot of friendships, but there have been some that was like, that's your learned lesson. That was your lesson. Yeah. And so it's like, I understand what you're saying. It's like, you're grateful, because I'm grateful for my lessons too. I don't think it is easy to have friendships end, or relationships be kind of contaminated. Like, that's never a good thing. But I do understand why it has to happen. Yeah, some people are just not meant to stay in the book, the whole book.
Yeah.
You know, with chapters.
I never used to think about stuff like that. If people left the chapter, it's because they grew apart, whatever. But it was not intentional, you know.
Yeah, or what? Maybe it was. Intentions were, part of your life cycle.
Yeah.
The intention is somewhere else, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like where one door closes, another door opens. Trying not to push the door when it's a pull.
Yeah.
And trying to focus on yourself and growing your development. I think what I've noticed too is that people gravitate to you when you're in a certain stage of life. So if you're being really, really positive and you're uplifting, you're being intentional, then I find that those people find you.
Yeah.
And then if you're also screwing around, not being intentional, maybe making poor decisions, then you're going to have those same people kind of reflect on you.
Yeah, I've seen that happen definitely, and I try to walk the line because, something that I didn't have that the people who came before me here had was I was not as well connected as them.
Right.
And so, it looks a way to have to like kind of screen people through other people, and I don't want to do that. But then you end up having to kind of like learn your own lesson the hard way about who somebody is when you don't know them. But you want to go into it with good intentions, because if you don't know them, you don't know that they're not a good person to have met, right? You don't want to like constantly have to go, how is this person? How is this person? How is this? Right. I'll do that for other people if they come and ask me, but I'm gun shy about doing that because you don't want it to be misconstrued as like, I don't know, gossip or like trying to get dirt on people. That's not what it's about, but it's like, should I spend my time or my energy
working
on this person?
Yeah. Right. And finding trusted people, because I find that friends don't always agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's one of my best traits. I have a good friend of mine who called me the other day and was like, hey, I kind of want to talk to you. I disagree about this particular topic. Not like a bad way. They were just like, hey, I think I want to give my 2 cents. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. Because I was like, yeah, this is very valuable, talking about security and being more intentional with our security or safety. And it's like, yeah, I love feedback. Because friends do tell you when you should be corrected and how things can be refined.
Yeah.
Where people who aren't your friends are going to be more agreeable until they serve their purpose,
Yeah. That's another thing I had to learn the hard way too.
Right.
But I mean, but that again, to speak on the community, I think that battle rap also, it made a lot of connections. I've watched it make connections for people, and I'm always very happy when I get to be a part of the reason that said connections were made, like for networking and such, because it's a labor of love. The sport as a whole, just to kind of delve back into the meat and potatoes of it, the sport as a whole is a labor of love because it takes a lot of effort to make the events happen. There's a lot of moving pieces. You rely very heavily on your community for funding for things, and you want to try to be really, really diligent and I'm blanking on the word, like with intention. Right. Purposeful. To make sure that you try to make some sort of benefit for your sponsors, to prove that you can do that, to give your community something worthwhile to make time out of their week for. Again, a lot of people are parents, to make something worth getting a babysitter for, I must be extremely entertaining, right. Or that's what I hope to be anyway. With the new generation of people that we are currently kind of working with and scouting for, it is our hope it's my hope anyway, that I can kind of artificially recreate the conditions that made UBR so uniquely great at its beginning. Because at its beginning, it was like 5 or 6 like main groups of friends, right, that were all very passionate about the art form and came together, and it just bloomed into this beautiful thing. And so I think those exist still, and it's just about finding them.
But where are they in the community?
Yeah, where are they? Because I certainly believe that these groups, and that there's, population of Albuquerque is what, like 500,000 people or more.
Oh, 800,000, I think.
Is it now?
It's almost
so 800,000. To put into perspective,
almost 1 million, yeah.
0.001% of that population is 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people,
Right.
I have to believe that amount of people exist in Albuquerque.
I think so.
Who are into what we do.
Right.
And I would be happy to perform exclusively in Albuquerque for the rest of my days.
Mm-hmm.
If I thought that it would always be 100 people to 500 people to 1,000, I would never leave.
Right.
You know, why leave and go out? This is this beautiful community here. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm happy to stay here and just feed this community that.
Right.
But I'm trying to. We're working on other means of achieving that
and expanding. So, if someone's interested, you know, in getting involved in URB, what is the?
So right now there is a methodology for that. So Universal Battle Realm is holding what we're calling Beneath the Surface, and Beneath the Surface is our new tryout format for artists who want to either try out battle rap period or prove that they are really one of the best. And if I'm being a little bit braggadocious right now, I don't believe that the music community, the hip hop community in Albuquerque really has a way to define that. Lists come out and nobody agrees who's on them. People get certain opportunities that other people disagree they should have gotten. Battle rap is a uniquely merit-based sport, and I know many people will disagree with that, but your wins speak for themselves. They are the things that you use to market yourself for larger opportunities.
Right.
It's not to say that favoritism in battle rap doesn't exist. Of course that it does. And UBR in Albuquerque in New Mexico, we are the only entity for said battle rap. We are the politics. Right? Which means we're not playing the favorites. We want to create the best battlers.
Right.
And we want to give you the opportunity to be the best version of yourself in this realm that you can be. So, Beneath the Surface is a tryout format where we are asking new performers to write a 90-second round verse against a person that we have fabricated. This person doesn't exist.
Got it.
And the reason we've done this is so that nobody can back out against you and your efforts are not in vain. Only you can back out and make it not worth, the effort you put in.
Right.
So these people don't exist. We're just giving you a short kind of description with some images of made up people that you should write something disrespectful about. And we're going to have a panel of judges that are going to evaluate it who are from within the scene. It's not going to be like this, you scored a whatever. They're here sort of in the Kill Tony format to riff on you a little bit because that's what we do. And also to give you criticism on how you should have improved. Right. And with this process, we hope to weed out the people who are accountable and reliable and they show up and do what we ask them to do. And then also see who is willing to continue to train. And then we can put them on this path to greater things. The one thing that I'm happy to have been able to achieve is, even though in Albuquerque I may not have been as well connected, I am one of the few UBR battlers over the course of our time that has traveled pretty extensively for battles. I've been all over the country. I'm also on a roster in Milwaukee. I've battled in Canada. I've battled on 4 of the largest battle rap platforms in the world.
Wow.
And that's not just to brag. It's more to say, I want to be a bridge for people.
Right.
They may go further than I've ever gone before. I at least know who to talk to and how to talk to, to get you there. If that's all that I achieve, I'm very comfortable with that.
Right.
If I can get somebody from New Mexico to be able to bring that shine back to us and to experience what I've experienced and maybe more. There are some extremely fun opportunities in this community and in this sport that you can arrive to. While and out, those battlers, many of them are actual battle rappers in the battle rap community. They started here. I've met them. They came from this. There are many, the Barstool Sports, if you know Barstool Sports, Adam Ferrone is an extremely well-known battle rapper. These lanes exist, and I don't always see them respectfully being given within the music community.
Right.
This is different, but it can kind of get you there. Battle rappers make music too.
Right.
This might put you in front of faces you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Right.
So that's the goal of that. If you want to try out, you should contact Universal Battle Realm on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You should go to ubrwidit.com, which is ubrwidit.com, and you'll get a pop-up immediately to sign up for the Beneath the Surface process. So we've made it very, very streamlined. It's about 5 minutes to sign up.
And if you send me the link,
I
can actually put it on the channel, the YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that way people can reach out directly. That sounds amazing. So our next segment in the show is mystery item. And you brought a mystery item.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is probably like the first UBR merchandise shirt I ever got. This was made by Phrase. Phrase is probably one of the most well-known UBR battlers in New Mexico. He's a Native American battle rapper from Farmington. And this is in the style of his chief shit.
That's so cool.
Skoda type shit. Day one's rooted all fucking day. Phrase is probably one of the most well-known battle rappers in New Mexico. He's done a lot for Native American battle rap and like representation in the scene. He's a really great person. I know that they have a gathering of MCs coming. Like Defi is someone who's also been, a fan of Phrase before, right? And shout out to Defi for still making, battle rap accessible, and hip hop accessible to, Native American communities in Albuquerque. It's probably one of the most formidable shows. And in fact, he just secured Immaculate, who is another extremely accredited battle rapper who's also part Native American, to come host a gathering of MCs next month.
That's beautiful. I love that. I'm Native American also. I'm a quarter Navajo, and our chief of operations is Tiwa, and then our director of media is Navajo also.
Oh, so cool.
We're actually 100% Native American owned business. So
nice.
Love the support, and I love when people come together to help support all community groups. I think it's incredibly important demographically to make it equal for everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's great to have those resources available. I love that. Well, I've absolutely loved having you here on the show with me. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch base with on here?
You should, like I said, absolutely check out Universal Battle Room on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We have all of it. Sign up for Beneath the Surface. It is not as difficult as you think it is. I would encourage your parents to sign up for it. I really think that anybody can do this.
What if somebody wants to go to the events? How do they get the same thing? They go to your social media pages?
Yeah, I would go to the social pages right now. This year's going to be a little bit different for us because this format, the Arizona Open Invitational Tournament, which we're dropping footage from, is a new format. Because we also run shows in Tucson, Arizona. Ooh. And we're going to be working on something a little bit different in Albuquerque here too. If they want to go to the events, check out Facebook is probably our most prominent social media page, besides the YouTube. The website is a good place to see Battle Drop. If they want to be involved, please, by all means, comment in the Facebook group. You can contact me either via the Universal Battle Realm, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, anything like that, or the guy with the ties on Instagram. You'll see me as Gabe Dvos, DVOS, on social media. If you message me there, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. And I'll actually put that in the handle here, so you'll be able to see it in the bio and everything.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, perfect. So my last question that I always ask on all my episodes is, if you could speak to any demographic, any age group, what words of encouragement would you share?
There's a lot going on right now.
It's a tough world right now.
Yeah. I would say, well, I'll speak to the only demographic I can. If you're a young white dude, you're not as cool as you think you are. But that's okay. There's a way to be cooler. And you can probably do it by getting involved in a battle rap community, frankly, because you'll be exposed to more people and lived experiences than you would in whatever insular community you've been around. And you'll probably find better people who have really lived life that I had not, and I think that you learn humility too in battle rap, especially being my specific demographic. And I know that probably makes me like, there's people who are going to watch this, they're going to laugh their ass off at me talking like this. And I don't mind, because I think there are many people who need to hear it.
Right.
And not only that, but learning to not take things super serious in terms of like, oh, somebody said something to me, I didn't like it. There's a lot of problems that you will solve by simply letting the day end.
Right.
Um,
Sleeping it off.
Yeah, and sleeping it off and not being that mad about it. And then to the same group, I would still say, you can be so much more in the community by not being the center of it, by just making sure that people are given the platform that they need to do great things. Like if I am always a second in command person, I'm perfectly fine being that, because I don't mind helping like people who really, really have that passion, who have more passion than me, more drive than me, all of those things, like actualize the things that they want. I don't mind that. I think it's fulfilling. I think it's valuable. I think it's admirable. And it's the right thing to be. If you have to step into the main character role, do it, but do it for a purpose and not for exclusively self-gain.
Right, absolutely. I love that. That's a wonderful message. I appreciate you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your knowledge. And everybody, please follow social media pages and keep up to date with this awesome rap battle and learn more about it. So be involved, guys. So I wonderful. Please like, follow, subscribe, and we will see you next episode. Thank you guys so much. Have a nice night.